think broke my arm, broke a rib, and then sort of got pinned under there for what I felt was about 2 minutes. It was probably 4 seconds.
I've read an article on WeChat saying that they'd signed a new centre-back.
Yeah.
Alex Grant has been deregistered. I'm going, have I? No one told me.
And I ended up being the first Australian footballer to go to Court of Arbitration for Sport to get my money.
Like, for my mental health as well, it's probably the worst period I've ever gone through in my life.
The chairman would ring me, Mako, I had you in my house. How dare you disrespect me like this?
It's actually a funny story.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Boys, thanks for coming. Great to have Alex and Ryan Grant here with us. Maka?
Related?
Not yet.
Really, but I reckon
Step brothers?
yeah. Did we just become best friends? I feel it's a funny story. I feel like my missus reckons your youngest Harry looks like my daughter Bobby. So
What's she trying to say?
she reckons that we should look into the family background. But
Yeah, I need to go through my diary, see where I was.
Boys, how have you made your season so far? Been a bit inconsistent, you'd say?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's probably the best way to put it. I think the majority of the league's been the same. I think every club has, apart from Newcastle in the last couple of months, no one's really grabbed it by the horns, have they, and ran away with it. And everyone's been a bit up and down. And yeah, that's kind of how it's gone for us.
What do you put that down to, though? Why is it seems like everybody's inconsistent, or it's so even that anyone can beat anyone. Like, there's only, like, the difference between the bottom and the top, or the six is still minute. Why this year is it so?
Great question. I really don't know. I think maybe speaking to a few of the boys over the last few months, I think a lot of the teams are younger, so whether that makes you more inconsistent, I'm not sure. We just sort of.
So we got that blaming the kids.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
blame these all these
us
guys.
older fellas. It's not us. I've been playing great all year. No, that might have something to do with it, but yeah, there's always usually one or two teams that sort of, like Grunner said, sort of take the bull by the horns and run with it. But yeah, this year it seems that everyone's letting each other have a chance, and it's staying pretty level, which is good for the neutral, I suppose.
And if you look at, like, because Bussy, we started at the same time, 2008, and I think you started in the A-League 2015, is that right?
Yeah.
So obviously, since you both started in the A-League, the league's become a lot younger. Like, what else have you noticed, do you reckon, has changed around the A-League? Because, I mean, I remember thinking back when I first started, I think tactically and physically, the league's come a long way. I think, like, you know, it's a lot more kind of emphasis on the approach to the games and those kinds of things. And yeah, definitely this year it seems like the average age of the league must be a lot younger than it has been. What have you kind of made of all that?
Yeah, I think, it's probably not great for us older players, is it? But yeah, the injection of youth has obviously brought the intensity of the games up a little bit, or that's how I felt, especially coming back here. And yeah, the first 15 to 20 minutes, it's always pretty fast paced and can go either way, I think, early doors.
What have you found of it?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think when I first came in, similar time to you, it was when you were a young boy, you really knew it. I feel like there was a lot of older professionals around that had obviously played or had great careers and played for a long time, whereas now I think, like Grunner said, it's very young. We're probably outnumbered by young boys, definitely in our team, which is great. It keeps us young, keeps me sort of motivated and trying to keep up. But I think also what you said with, like, tactically, I remember when you first come in, it was more just, maybe it's different coaches that you have, but it was more just you train during the week, and then whoever you come up to, you just got to try to get the better of your opposition. Whereas now, a lot of it is focused on players or individual players or the way they set up, and we might tweak the littlest thing in our build-up or in the way we defend to try and nullify what they're doing. So I feel like, yeah, there's a lot more tactical awareness, I suppose, coming from the coaches and then passed on to the players. There's just so much information you sort of have to take in that week to week from different oppositions. So I think that might just be the league was very young when we started too, and then it's just sort of progressed, and same as modern football, I suppose.
The dynamic, because you obviously grew up playing in England in the academies. How have you now found that with the shoe on the other foot that, you know, if a young boy's come into the team and he's doing really well but getting ahead of himself, are you going to kind of nip in there and try and put them in their place, or are you just going to let that go?
I think we let them get away with murder nowadays, don't we? It was a tough school back then, and I guess what do they say? There's a few snowflakes knocking around nowadays, and that's it. But you've got to be careful because that's, like we said, that's the way the game's evolved. And I remember growing up, and back when I was an apprentice at Portsmouth, and even the younger pros would be putting the used kit under the showers because we had to trek it back to the kit room and hand it off to the kit room, and it'd weigh another 100 kilos because it'd been under the shower for the last 20 minutes, And we had jobs back when I was younger, and that's kind of all gone a little bit now. And
is that for the better, or do you think it's for the worse? Someone who went through that.
I think it definitely teaches you some discipline and keeps you grounded, and I think that's it. I think nowadays the younger players, they see so many other younger players getting opportunities that some of them can get carried away. It's obviously we've been lucky that we went through that period where we were levelled out by the older players. And
cop that one. But you've been overseas. Obviously, we'll get to you because you're a bit of an enigma, mate. One club for 700 years. But you've been overseas. Do you see a massive difference? Like, so you've been in the UK, you've been in Korea, Australia, these different places. Are there huge differences in the way that sort of comes about, where the culture in the club, is it completely different in each country, or do you see similarities?
Yeah, I think it's the culture outside the game as well.
Yeah.
Obviously in day-to-day life, and I'll use Korea as an example. People are very down to earth, but keep themselves to themselves there, and obviously young men like myself will go through military service over there, and they do 18 months, and a lot of footballers go to Gimcheon and do their 18 months in the military there, and that's tough. I think they're on like $400 a month or something like that, and they're taken away from the clubs in the league, and that toughens them out and teaches them discipline, which is good. And I'm not saying we should introduce that here, but you definitely see a different kind of person or player that comes through as opposed to what you get coming through the Australian youth leagues.
If we all we had to do 18 months military service, I think that'd change our perspective pretty much straight away. Yeah.
So there's definitely a chain of command as well, and a lot of age as well. Age is brought into it, and I remember my second year, we got a new kit man, and he introduces himself, and the last thing he does is tells everyone his age, because you look up to people who are older than you there, and that was an odd one for me.
Yeah.
Doesn't exist in Australia, that's for sure.
Well, yeah, we found that out.
The opposite in Macca's case as well.
But it's good that young players can give it back as well. It's just obviously it's got to be.
You want to see a little bit of because you're sort of testing them and you're putting them in their place. Like I go back to when I was coming up, and you look back now and you think some of it was just played out bullying because that was the culture it was, but. You find that fine balance where you need to go, we want to push you and see how you react to it.
That's right.
I remember having conversations with Matty Ryan and Trent Sainsbury when they come through and asking how they're going and stuff. And I remember Matty Ryan saying to me, what do you care? I said, what do you mean? He said, well, all you do is you just pick on us. All you old boys just give us heaps and you never give us any leeway. And I said, well, have a look at some of the players that we don't pick on. We see something in you guys and we're testing you, we're pushing you to go, and maybe sometimes you do go over that line, but you want to see how they react. And I think you've got to find that right balance. But with the ones who react and you go, it might be at the moment where you go, you little smart ass, whatever, but in your head you're like, I like it. That's what I want to see, because when push comes to shove on the field, you're not going to back down. And that's where you're trying to find that, what they've got, what they're made of.
And when you played in Korea and China, and Macca, you might be able to answer this as well from China, did you have to kind of live at the training ground? Because I know that a lot of people, which is a pretty foreign thing. Like, if someone ever asked me to live at the training ground, there's no chance I'm going, to be honest. Like, that's just me personally. But, I mean, did you know that was the case when you signed for these clubs?
A few people have warned me. Brandon O'Neill was at Pong Steelers before I'd signed there, so he kind of gave me the heads up that if you lose a few games on the bounce, you could be in concentration camp for a good week and staying at the clubhouse and every night. And I told my wife, and she wasn't too happy about that, especially having the kids at home. But so we used to, even at home games, we'd stay the night before the game, and we'd train in the afternoons there. I'd have dinner at the clubhouse, drive home 20 minutes, sort the kids out, put them to bed, stay with the wife, watch a movie or whatever, and then I'd drive back to the training ground, sleep there the night, wake up early doors, drive back home, do breakfast at home, and then I'd be back again at the training ground for the team walk or whatever at 12 before 3 o'clock kickoff. So.
And that's hard for someone who's not used to that, because we're used to being at home and staying at home and doing your own thing and preparing for the game, which flips me to you now. Mate, you've lived here, you haven't gone anywhere, you've been at the same club. How do you look at that, and why has that come about? Because a lot of players go, well, my aim is to go overseas and play overseas. Did those opportunities come for you? Is that something you wanted, or were you just getting so much cash from Sydney FC that you were like, I can't leave, Bondi's great?
No, definitely not. I think, well, on the money side, living in Sydney, I don't think I've saved a penny in 20 years. No, but there was definitely a few opportunities over the years, but nothing that was... The good ones that I was ready to jump at and was never really concrete, and then the other ones that I wasn't busting to go to wasn't what I wanted to do, you know. So there was a few opportunities over the years, but then I obviously got to a stage where I was really enjoying my football, and I think there was probably at my peak was probably the peak of the A-League too, like from 2015 to say 2020. Where the teams were very strong, the atmosphere was unbelievable. I was doing quite well personally, so I think I was really enjoying it there, and there wasn't too much, I suppose, competition from other leagues coming in for me. So yeah, it was sort of a bit of everything, to be honest. It was definitely not the money, I'll tell you that. That kept me here. And I wouldn't say it's a regret, but I would have loved to have experienced something different, and whether it be a different league or another culture, just to sort of have funny stories like Grunner and you guys sort of have from doing that. But in saying that, I think it's pretty special too to be able to say that I've been at the one club, and a pretty successful club too, for so long.
So obviously as well, that kind of loyalty is two-sided, because I remember there was a time, you might have to tell me which year it was, but when you did your ACL, and were you coming off contract when that happened, and did the club kind of extend your contract, or how did that unfold? Yeah,
I think I've done both my knees, and I think fortunately it was probably in the first year of the 2-year contract. But in saying that, I was still in rehab that second season, especially I think it was when Arnie came in his first season and Clarkey as the S&C, really got behind me and worked me hard and pushed me hard, and then they sort of said, for a reward of what we've seen you do in your rehab, where we want to keep you and have you around, and then thankfully they were loyal by me, which, a lot of people sort of do say to me, like, oh, you've been so loyal, but it also goes back on the club. Like, there's, as you see in the A-League, so many players go and leave and change clubs and end up at 4 or 5 different clubs. So it's very common. So for the club to be loyal by me is obviously a great thing, and that probably doesn't get recognised as much as it does on the player when they say, oh, you've been there for so long. So, it's definitely a two-way street, and, very happy that they've sort of stood by me, and, I suppose vice versa.
So, and got to ask you, so we'll come back to you. So I've got to ask you as well, obviously one coach who, when I think of you, I think of him straight away. I think he's been he must have played a big role in your career, was obviously Graham Arnold. Was he the one that got you into the Socceroos as well for the first time?
I'd been in with Ange a couple of times, but just sat on the bench. Arnie was... gave me my full debut, yeah.
So what's your... when someone says to you, Graham Arnold, what are your first thoughts?
I've got a lot of love for him, a lot of respect. I think, I was sort of, before he got to the club, I think I played in every single position for Sydney FC, whether it's starting or off the bench. And then even his first season, I was sort of that utility. They used to call me the plug, sort of play anywhere when needed. And then that second season, he sort of said to me, if you want the right back role, you've got to go for it this pre-season. I'm going to give you first stab. And then, sort of since then I've been obviously a right back. So he definitely had a big impact on my career in terms of keeping it right back, and then his coaching and a lot of, I suppose, the credit goes to Clarkey too, his right-hand man, to sort of get me back from injuries like I mentioned, and then, sort of push on from there. But, Arnie, I've got a lot of respect for him. And
do you think he's underrated? Because I think, because of Ange's success, everybody obviously talks about Ange and how much success he achieved overseas. But Arnie, I think a lot of people are sleeping on Arnie in the Australian media and the Australian public in terms of what he's achieved. But, what's your take on that? Because
I think so. I think in terms of, I think people see him as a bit of a man manager, which he's really good at. He's really good at keeping players happy and wanting to fight for him, which I think is
Hard.
it's very hard, especially when you've got like 23 players in the squad. He was very good at keeping everyone on their toes, I suppose, and feeling wanted. But one thing that people probably don't realise is he's very tactically aware too. I mean, when he first came into Sydney, I remember that was sort of probably the very first I'd seen a sort of a coach want to set up a certain way in defence and then in attack a little bit different. I mean, obviously it happened all over the world, but on my personal experience, it was probably the first time. So, I think he's sort of a bit underrated and on that regard for sure.
See, I got, first time I got coached under Arnie, well, I had a brief encounter with him when I was younger. He came in and did some striker training when I was at Newcastle in the old NSL. And then after that, I got him at the Mariners from 33 years of age to 35 years of age. And at that stage, I remember saying to the young boys at the Mariners at the time, take this in because I'm 33 and I'm not getting the detail. I've never, had someone sit me down and analyse my game, how you can get more out of it. And when you say what is the best, your first thoughts, I think best coach I've had in all aspects. And I learned so much from 33 to 35 that I wish I was a Matty Ryan, a Bernie, a Beanie who got him when I was 18, 19, 20, and I think my career would have been so much better. Now, when you think about him, there's another coach that you had that gets high praise as well, and he's obviously very good because he's at the Socceroos now, Popper. How was it under him? Like, we've heard lots of stories about Popper and his regimes and that kind of stuff. How was it for you under him?
Yeah, amazing. I probably learnt the most I have done in my career under Popper, and Foxy as well for that matter, because obviously Foxy was with him as well.
Can I ask you about Foxy? We'll get on to Popper.
Yeah.
He had a brief stint at Western Sydney where he had 5 games and they did well and he never got the job. Do you think he's got the quality to step up to be the head coach? Because he wanted it, didn't he? And
without a doubt, I think he does.
Yeah.
So
obviously you had 2 great coaches together then.
They complement each other very well. I had Kenny before that as well, so it was a big,
That's
chalk
a
and
huge
cheese.
change.
Yeah, it was. It was chalk and cheese.
Yeah, I
and
had Kenny too.
Yeah, that's right. And I loved it with Kenny as well. I mean, I'd come back from England and at 21, 22 and had my first 3 years back in the A-League. It was fantastic under Kenny, and we had a lot of senior players who helped the group, and like Arnie was a good man manager. But in the end, probably gave the older players a little bit too long a piece of string, and they took the mick a little bit in the end. And that's probably why he lost his job. But again, he was tactically aware of all the other teams in the league and set us up well. And we were fortunate we had players like Diego and Andy and Andy Keogh and Nebo Marinkovic and Dino Jubilee. So there was a lot of good senior players in that squad that helped me as well. And then going back to Popper, it was a massive difference, but we kind of knew what to expect. There was rumblings of him coming to the club, and I'll tell you, I didn't eat much in that off-season.
Well, I was going to ask you, like, I've never actually had him as a manager. I've played against him a few times, I think, but what is the vibe in terms of the skin folds and the elbow? Because you hear so many stories about players, talking about military camp earlier, that it's reminiscent of something like that. Is that the way it is?
It kind of felt a little bit like that, but with Poppy, you always felt on your toes. It didn't matter whether you were the best player, the worst player, you always felt like you had a point to prove to him, as well as yourself. And, he kept everyone on the same level. He didn't treat anyone differently. And I think all the details off the pitch, he really focused in on and everyone honed in on. And that's it. You have to buy into it as well. I mean...
Well, no tomato sauce, no... Are these were true, all these things?
Yeah, well, that's it. You go down to dinner, you'd have to wait for the boss to give you the OK to go and eat, as Buster does for us now. But Foxy would come round and look at all the trays on a away trip, and he'd be there like, just having a look, and then he'd be talking to the boss and pull the chef over and just change that, and then that get whisked away, and then something else might get brought out. But it was good. It helped me. And I think when I went to Korea, when you're there, you don't really have much coaching. And as a foreigner, you're just expected to deliver week in, week out, and all the little details that they gave me helped me massively.
Well, that was a hugely successful period for you.
Yeah. And I was, fortunate. I just signed a 3-year deal at Glory as well, so I was fortunate that we had Terry McFlynn and Richie Garcia had just come into the job, and obviously COVID had affected a lot of things, and the boys had been in Qatar playing in the ACL and came back, and then I got a call. I was given a contract to FC Seoul, and then they had a lad from Uzbekistan who didn't want to leave, and then Pohang swooped in, and then they offered me a deal. And next thing I know, I was doing 2 weeks quarantine on my own in the freezing cold Baltic weather of South Korea. I remember my first day, it was just snowing. I'm like, what I got myself in for here. But it was great, yeah. Absolutely loved it. And that's it, going back to Popper, it was just, all the finer detail, especially for me as a defender. It helped that both of them have been defenders as well.
Yeah,
and obviously both of them had great careers, and just little things like, I spoke to Buster about it, body positioning when the ball's, say, with their left back, where am I? And you're always thinking about it, where my body position is. If the ball goes over my head, it was like, if you turn a certain way, you'll lose a metre.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to follow around with the swing the hips. We used to do unders overs, they called it, in the warm-ups in the first day back in the week, and getting the legs over the hurdles to work on that. It's crazy, but, you know, and it worked. And those little details helped me massively.
And you said about going from Australia to the cold weather and how the big change. What are the when you're playing in the A-League and then you go to play in Asia, whether that be the Asian Champions League or going overseas, what are those difficulties? Like, we all know, we've played there, that I remember a game we played, we went to China and played in the Champions League, and it was 0 degrees, and that was Wednesday night, and we flew back to Perth and played in 41 degrees heat. And we didn't have, I don't think we had drink breaks either. And that change in temperature, people don't think about that, as well as adding how much you're travelling. You know, in Europe, they go, oh, you got a 2-hour bus ride, and they're like, oh, that's a long trip, we better go the night before.
Yeah.
We're flying all over the place, and how does that affect your career, or does it add? Does it make your hair fall out? It's not as easy as everyone thinks, is it?
No, I mean, I think, we had one game in the ACL with Glory in my last season. We played in Tokyo, and it was freezing cold there, and then, like I said, we came back to the A-League, and it was roasting hot. I can't remember where we played the week after, but it's nice. I feel fresher when it's colder, I'll be honest with you. I mean, the kicks and the knocks hurt a little bit more, but I don't know, you just feel...
That's your English roots, I think.
Maybe. you just have a bit more energy about you, I
do.
think, whereas the heat, especially playing now in Sydney with the humidity, it saps the energy out of you some games, and it's hard to get up for, running in behind again, or, when teams are turning it over. But even the summers in Asia are mental. It's some of the craziest heat I've ever experienced. And it always used to baffle me, though, that lads had dropped to the floor, like 20 players would all be like that after a game, and I'm like, come on, surely you've not gone that far.
And then you play at 9 o'clock at night and it's still 41 degrees and 90% humidity, and you're like, oh I can sort of see why they're knackered now.
And I want to ask you as well, because played in China, obviously, for one season, is that right? What happened there? Because it seemed like there was maybe some off-field issues, or there was something in the background that happened. I've been through similar things, so I'm curious to know what happened there.
Well, that's it. And even in my first year in career, I injured my foot in my debut, and I came on off the bench with 20 minutes to go, and then went up for a header and injured my foot, and was out for 3 or 4 months with that. And I think it's just over there, it's just a lot more cutthroat. The clubs have more money, so foreigners chop and change all the time. They've got the money to just go, there it is, off you go, see you later, and we'll get a new one in. Clubs don't have that luxury here, where they can just buy players out and bring new ones in. They've kind of got to stick with them even if they're not performing. And my in China experience there, I started really well. I enjoyed it, loved the city. It was an amazing place, and we had a good group, good team. And I was at Tianjin, and they were never expected to do great things. Obviously, when you're coming up against like teams like Shanghai, Port, and Shenhua, and Chengdu, we've got money in abundance, and we overperformed at the start of the season, and I picked up a groin injury and played through, and then in the end just broke down and went back to Perth for a couple of weeks just to seek a surgeon's opinion and get a few opinions whilst I was there, and they recommended surgery, and the club weren't happy with that, and they whisked me back, and it was a lot of messing around, and in the end I had meetings with the coach who wanted me to keep playing and play through to the end of the season, and I did that, and then we played Chengdu, which was probably one of my favourite away trips whilst I was away. There was like 50-odd thousand. It was absolutely mental. Pitch was terrible, but it was great, and we lost, but it was a good game. It was the deadline day. and I woke up the following day, and then I read a article on WeChat saying that they'd signed a new centre-back.
Yeah.
Alex Grant has been deregistered. I'm going, have I? no one told me. On the blower, straight away to the agent, like, what's going on here? And he's like, I'll find out, I'll ring the club and all this and that. Because you have 2 agents. You've got a Chinese agent. I've got my Australian
And deadline
agent.
day's already gone.
It's gone.
Yeah.
So they deregistered me. So they basically blocked me from going anywhere. So I got the PFA involved. And essentially I could have took the club for all my money.
Yeah.
Took them to FIFA, and I could have done that. I didn't in the end, and it was funny. The first day it happened, I was bit like probably like what Eric Partlow had it in Korea or wherever he was. I was on the side with the physio, didn't want me training with the squad. Got a letter from the PFA. There you go, Alex, you're back in. Next day, and that's it.
I think Matty Simon had the same thing. He went over there, got injured in his first year, and they were just like, see you later, you're gone. And it's like, I've only been here like 3 months and I've got an injury, and it's just like, next, cab off the rank.
I had the exact same as well in Cyprus as well. You know how you were saying the foreigners, they just keep bringing in foreigners and you're very expendable. I think in the team I was, you were allowed 15, and they in the off season they just kept signing players. And at one point there was like 24 foreigners or something. And I was just like,
You're going, where am I?
I was doing the math. I'm like, there's signing a lot of wingers here. It's not looking good.
It's mental, and in all fairness, it was probably like for my mental health as well. It's probably the worst period I've ever gone through in my life. My wife knows that as well, and anyone going through it or who's yet to go through it, I really, feel sorry for him because it's not a nice place to be.
Well, I had a similar thing when I was in the UK. I partially tore the hamstring off the bone, and they were doing this treatment, and it turns out they weren't doing the right treatment. And I got called into the chairman's office. You'd see the chairman be like, hey, sir, hey, that was it. I got pulled into the office, and he's like, why don't you want to train with the team? And I'm like, well, I can't run. And he's like, the medical staff are saying they're doing this treatment and you're not getting better. Like, is it because you don't want... I'm like, well, it's not getting better. And I ended up having to come home to Australia, like you said. I came home, saw a surgeon I knew who ended up giving me these injections that sped it up, the heated... It wasn't illegal, that sped it up. And when I went back, they were like, oh, yeah, I saw the specialist then, and he was like, yeah, you should have been doing different treatment. So the club hadn't really looked after me, but they were putting it all on me, like, you don't want to be here, what's wrong? And I loved the club, I loved the people there, the players, we had a great relationship, but it was just like, you're not falling into place, then go over here. And they wanted to get rid of me, and I was like, just cutthroat, like, but I was like, I can't do anything about this, and you just sort of get lost on, well, I don't know what to do here.
Maggie, you have a story from, I remember you told me a while ago, but in Romania too, where there was a conflict, wasn't there? Or something
we had 2 owners of the club, and one owner owned half the contracts of the players, and the other owner owned a lot of the foreign players' contracts. So then they'd fall out, and then it'd be like, well, you guys aren't playing this week, we'd all be out. Then they'd make up and we'd all be back in, and then they weren't paying, and then after a while, I just got to the point where I was like months behind getting paid, and I went in and said, look, I want my money. And eventually I had a guy in the club who looked after me and said, look, write a letter saying you go, I'll sign it, and you can go. And I ended up being the first Australian footballer to go to Court of Arbitration for Sport to get my money. I got it like 2 years later. But the chairman would ring me, the one who owned my contract, and go, Mako, I had you in my house. How dare you disrespect me like this? And I'm like, my dad's paying my mortgage for me back home because you won't pay me. What do you mean disrespect? But it's a different world in some of these countries where it's just like, yeah, that's just the way it is. You don't get paid for 8 months. And then they go, oh, yeah, here's your money. Oh, but then you're owed another 6 months. And it's like, yeah, that's the way it is. But going from where we are, where we've got the PFA, who they're there for you all the time, and they eventually helped me at the same time as well, it's really weird for us to comprehend that. Like, you've been here your whole life. You're like... And I'm assuming nothing's ever happened like that at Sydney.
No. We've always been paid on time. Everything's super. We're laughing, mate. Just like I said, don't say anything.
Who's the craziest coach you've had then?
Craziest coach?
Was John Kosmini your first coach?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah,
there's one.
Cosy.
Yeah. I loved Cosy. He was really good. Yeah, obviously gave him my debut, but yeah, he really liked me, so I loved Cosy. Then we had Vicha, who was pretty quiet. To be honest, Arnie, you've seen Arnie on the sideline. Like, he can be quite vocal.
Paces up and
yeah,
down.
he doesn't
and that's
stop.
where all the greys come from. I
Yeah.
can see him stressing.
He aged in the 3 years he was
Yeah.
at the Mariners. He
Yeah.
aged about 10 years. I remember when he left, I got a photo of the two and put them together, and I was like, mate, he goes, that's what yous have done to me.
Yeah.
10 years he aged, just
it's crazy.
every detail, stressing over things, and he's
Coaching.
Yeah.
Coaching.
Yeah.
You're going the other way.
Mate, I was grey. I started going grey when I started coaching. I retired, I was blonde, and then I started coaching, and bang, it went grey overnight.
Yeah, wow.
It's just stressful.
I'm going grey, but I don't coach. I don't know what happened there. But anyway.
At least you got your hair, mate.
I was going to ask you, boys, pivot a little bit, but what about life away from football? I did do a little bit of research, and I saw on the internet that your favourite brand was Bunnings,
Oh, I love
which I
Bunnings.
thought, well, that needs a further explanation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything better than, obviously I've got 2 little boys, so it's great killing time and just walking down the aisles and going, well, I'd like that one day, or I'd like that. And
Are you handy?
not really, no. No. I like the idea of being handy.
He likes
That's what
sausage
it is.
sizzle.
Yeah, that's it. I had a sausage sizzle. Yeah.
I also saw you like the Arctic Monkeys, which I thought was a great shout.
Yeah.
I remember you being very into music as well. I think you and Joshy Brillante used to go to gigs and stuff. Is that right?
Yeah, when I lived with Joshy, we used to go a lot. Still, I mean, obviously with kids you can't go as much, but it was my birthday last week and we actually went to Taronga Zoo do like a Twilight thing, and the Rubens were playing.
Oh, cool.
And I know a few of the Rubens boys, so we went down there, but unfortunately it chucked it down.
Oh.
It was lightning and the kids were losing their mind, so we were
ruin
there for
everything.
about an hour and a half and didn't see one song. But yeah, no, I still go, try and go to gigs when we can. I think we've got the DMAs coming up pretty soon
nice.
too, which is nice. Yeah, they got some VIP tickets, so shout out. Thanks,
how
boys.
good
Mate,
that?
he's connected everywhere, isn't he? What's the best gig you've been to then?
That's a great question. DMAs is my favourite band, so I've seen them a couple of times, and I probably can't go past just going to one of their gigs, just even at M or
The Aussie Oasis. That's the
Yeah,
vibes.
exactly,
they're
yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Are you still surfing, right?
No, again, kids, eh? No, I haven't surfed for a while. Whenever I get a chance on a day off, if it times up with Bobby's daycare, I can sort of try get down, but not as much as I'd like
Mate,
to be
kids
honest.
ruin it. I used to. I'm not good at all, but I used to like going at least once a week.
Yeah.
I went
easily.
for 3 surfs in the last 10 days. It was my first surfs in about 4 years.
Wow.
I was unreal. I was
Yeah, I was
carving it up.
gonna say.
Yeah. You nearly drowned, didn't you? You've told us once
Yeah.
about your story.
Yeah. Grunner was actually asking about it today. I think it was 2018. I was literally just coming back from my second knee, actually. And I lived in Coleroy, had a stint there for 6 months with Seba Ryle, actually. We lived over there just as a change-up. And I got really into my surfing. I was out at Coleroy, and anyone that knows Coleroy Beach, there's this big, like, massive drainage pipe, sort of, that goes, I don't know how long, 70 metres into the water. But when it's big surf and big swell, it sort of covers it, really, and I got a bit too big for my boots and went out thinking I was Kelly Slater and tried to paddle out, and I couldn't even get out. It was that big, and I had a bigger board at the time, so I wasn't really duck diving that well. And then, sort of just got swept into this big drainage pipe and, sort of got whacked into it, and I think broke my arm, broke a rib, and then sort of got pinned under. It's a bit hard to describe, but it's probably to this roof, this big circle, obviously, pipe. Sort of got pinned under. Somehow my board and my leg rope got caught on something. Yeah, and I was sort of just pinned under there for what I felt was about 2 minutes. It was probably 4 seconds. But yeah, it felt like I was under there for a while, and ended up sort of just giving up. I was trying to fight to get to the top of the start, and then sort of just made my peace with it.
Incredible.
And then my leg rope snapped, and I sort of got spat underneath it and out the other side. And thankfully, it was in between big sets, so I had a chance to get out. But it's actually a funny story.
It's hilarious.
There's a few
thought I was
boys
gonna-
that watch.
My old man. I thought I was going to get sucked back under, because I was obviously shitting my pants. So I thought I was going to get sucked under. So I just tried to start climbing the pipe, and then there was people on the beach watching me coming to help, and they're like, just walk out. But I was like, no, I'm going to get sucked. And I looked back, and the wave wasn't coming at all. So I ended up just gingerly walking
There
out.
was little kids behind you just walking around.
Did you have any issues getting back in the water, like, after you recovered? Because you got quite injured in that, obviously, ordeal. But, fast forward.
I will not go out in big surf now. I sort of I just sort of have a foamy now and go down Bondi when it's 1 or 2 foot, just have a bit of a
But
laugh.
do coaches tell you should be doing that stuff? I know when we got towards the end, they weren't saying you couldn't go, but when you got to like the end of the week, coming up towards match day, I know Gary Van Egmond used to drive when he was assistant cookie at Newcastle up and down looking for our cars at the beach, so we'd all just park down the back streets.
Park at the pub.
No one
You look at the beach, mate, we're at the pub. That's another thing that's changed, since, the culture, I guess, off-field culture, when we talk about all the stuff. Like, is it changed that going out culture has really died off? Is that a generational thing, or is it still there?
I think there's still a few.
Within reason.
There's still a few old heads in the younger boys
Trying to
that
keep the
that
fire
like
alive.
to have, that sort of love to have a bit of a couple of skillies, but it's definitely the new generation is totally different, aren't they? In terms of what we sort of, and I hate to say it because you sort of watch people on shows and podcasts and hear, back in my day, but it really was like, if you had the chance to go have a few beers with your friends, and I suppose it's probably Australian culture too, not just football, but you used to love going out, especially with the older boys. They'd give you all your money and you'd have to go get their round, and then at the end of the night they'd say sort of keep the change, so you'd go home with more money than you came out with. So it was those are the days, but we still try and get out.
Are you giving the money to the kids now?
Oh, mate, like I said, I don't
He's
earn
there by
enough.
himself. That's the issue.
Here you go, Ryan. Go get take it home yourself. No, we still have a little group that tries to.
Yeah.
get
And
out
I
every
think
now
there's
and
always a couple that surprise you as well.
Yeah.
You know, there's what's he doing it?
Yeah.
I'm never there, but that's what I heard.
then. Yeah, in the photos.
All right, back into the football then. Best players that you've played with, particularly, well, you were the only one in the ALeague, but best player you've played with that you'll go, wow, what they've done or what they did in training or any matches.
Obviously, everyone's going to expect me to say Del Piero, who was just
You say
freakish.
who you want to say, mate.
But I think there's people that fly under the radar, like Broski. I think Broski was an unbelievable player, and people sort of don't realise
Don't say that.
how good he was. I love Broski. I think he was unbelievable.
Yeah.
But then also like Aaron Moy and Tommy Rogic, like when they were on, they were unbelievable and on a different level.
But you had Castro, didn't you?
Yeah, Diego.
I remember Rocket telling me, he goes, Macca, this guy is one of the best players in the A-League. And I sort of laughed. I went, oh, yeah, whatever. He goes, I'm serious. And then the season started to unfold and I was like, geez, yeah, this guy's not bad.
the ball was glued to him,
Yeah.
like all the time. And I remember talking to Brandon O'Neill, because obviously Brandon was from Perth as well, and he'd come in the off-season, I'd say to him, like, what does Arnie do when you play Glory? He's like, as long as you stop Castro, you'll win the game.
Yeah.
And that's all that
Good
matters.
luck doing that, though.
Yeah. And that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to be fair, he was knocking on a bit. I mean, we got him, I think he was, 32 when he came to the league or something like that, and he was 38 when he left, and he was unbelievable. And I think that Western Seaboard, Eastern Seaboard, he doesn't always get the credit. He's not always up there in everyone's top 5, but he's certainly in my top 2 or 3 without a doubt. A big part of you winning trophies. I think he was just at the wrong club, in all honesty. Do you know what I mean? I think if he'd been on this side,
everyone would be raving.
He would have been the best player in the history of the A-League, without a doubt.
Yeah, right.
But there was a couple, like playing with Rocket as well. I learned a lot from Rocket and having him behind me as well.
Sorry, Rocket.
Me and him built a great relationship in his time there, and I still chat to him today. Me and Shane Lowry as well. I still speak to them on WhatsApp.
Boys.
We did. I was lucky, like I said. I had a lot of senior boys who were.
And that's, let's be honest, in the upshot, like we're catching up for a few sherbets on the weekend, aren't we, with a few ex-players as well, just to catch up and reminisce and have a good time, and that's what it all comes down to. Talking about reminiscing, we've got some questions now about certain people's and their red cards and your memories of those red cards. Who are we going to go with first?
I think Alex Grant, your red card against Newcastle. So before we show the clip, I want to hear your version of events, because we had one with Broski about a month ago where he was telling us how this red card he got, and it was like the worst tackle. But he was like, I didn't even touch the guy. And then he saw the vision. He was like, oh, that's not how I remember. So I'm curious to see if the same thing's going to happen here.
Well, it was 2 yellows from memory. So the first one, I remember the boss had a go at me at half-time because it was... I can't remember whether I tackled someone and given away a foul. And then I got up and grabbed someone by the shirt, a bit like what I did in the derby and all that, giving him a mouthful. And anyway, came away with a yellow. And then the second one, I remember the ball, came fizzing towards me, and I think it was Angus Thurgate, and I seen him, he came across, and I've lined the header up, and I nailed him, but I won the ball. And
Did you?
I'm sure I did. We'll see in a minute. Here we
Let's
go.
have a look. So ball goes up here. It's going to come back, is it, towards you?
Oh, there it is. See, I won the ball fair and
I feel
square.
like that's play on, dude.
I think I was hard done by in all respects. And my brother gave
Yeah.
the ref a bit of stick on Twitter.
After he just got away
Yeah,
with the
on the
penalty on the
weekend.
weekend. That's just, there's nothing wrong with it. Oh.
I nailed him. But that's the centre half's bread and butter right
That's
there.
the Stoke City education.
A little
coming
bit.
through.
Look, Diego doesn't speak a word of English, but I don't know what he's telling me.
Wow.
Just walk.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's
you
a
think
yellow.
it's all
dude.
right?
A little bit.
I want to
harsh.
see a closer replay.
Show
but
it
I feel
again.
like
Yeah.
Wait, was it shoulder or was
Yeah.
it elbow?
Oh, yeah,
That's the
nailed
thing
it.
you couldn't see.
It
Was it
looked
your
like-
arm that
No, it was
touched
my
it?
shoulder. My
He just went
shoulder.
above
My
it.
whole
He just
shoulder.
got above the guy.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
That's just Angus Thurgate being soft as he always is. Rhino, first red.
Oh, my first one. I'll put my hand up straight away before we even see the clip and say that's a horrible tackle.
Took
Yeah.
you 10 years to get a red card.
Yeah,
didn't it?
and then I got a couple in a couple of years.
See, on that angle, I was like, oh,
Play on.
That's
Yeah.
okay. I don't. And then let's just have a little look at the reverse angle when this comes up. And I think
Yeah.
you are right. This is
Yeah, this was.
awful.
And the fact that I'm even trying to debate it with the ref is laughable.
At least you had VAR to look at it, though.
Yeah, I think there's actually a good. Yeah.
There's a good shot.
It was one of those ones. Yeah, you sort of try and.
But I think as well, because it was a second tackle, you didn't have momentum. So
Yeah,
I
was
think
sort
your
of
legs went up
standing still.
accidentally.
Yeah, definitely.
Like,
Yeah, that's
benefit
how
of the doubt.
I say it too. Tommy.
Benefit
It's
of the
actually,
doubt.
I think funny that this was the first time. I think I don't know whether it was the league or FIFA, whoever's in charge, but released the audio of the VAR and the ref. So this clip went worldwide. Yeah, and my partner, she's English, and I had her friends like messaging her and me and saying, "What the hell? What have you done? This is everywhere." And all they had like millions and millions
wow.
of views.
Yeah,
so-
look, you got a booking for that haircut.
Nothing. Yeah, it was nothing about the card. It was about the haircut. Surely there's a good barber in Australia.
Glory days. Those were the glory days. I'd do anything for that.
I must
partner.
admit, with your haircut, when you had the mullet, because you were before mullets were fashionable, I kept asking the boys because I obviously didn't know you. And I'm like, "Is this for a bet?" And they're like, "No, he's just growing his hair." Anyway, mate, you've started a revolution.
Yeah,
They're
it's
everywhere
sort of
around the world
caught
now.
on.
When you
didn't
went to the Asian Cup or played in Asia, didn't you have to get approval or something? What's
Yeah,
that
there was
story?
sort of, I don't know how true it was, but I think a journo released an article about it that the FA had to go through, because we played in UAE. Apparently you got to have respectable haircuts or something like that, and they had to get approval for my haircut, which was,
It's
I
like
don't know
North
if it
Korea
was
vibes.
legit.
You can only
I know.
have certain haircuts.
Yeah.
The mullet's respectable
But
these
no, it
days.
lived on. Yeah, these days.
It's a good differential, though. I think, like, I regret not having a mad haircut when I was playing
mate, I-
earlier on, because I think, like, it gives you something to stand.
Right.
You know, it stands out.
Didn't work. Did
Oh,
didn't get a
mate.
move.
I mentioned it. I mentioned this guy before, Musti Amini.
Yeah,
when he
big
come through with the
red
big red
afro.
afro,
Yeah.
and then one day he came in and he'd cut it all short, and we were all like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
We said, like,
Point of
okay, he
difference.
was a good player, but everyone's talking about. There was
That's it.
other players who I thought were not far off his level, but because he had this big red afro that
Stood
bounced
out.
around when he ran, he stood out, and everyone was talking about him. We said, "You grow that back," and he grew it back straight away. And obviously, when he went to Dortmund and that, they sold the wigs and all that kind of stuff.
It's
So
definitely
you're
it's a big
right,
pull. It is a big pull.
100%.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Buster, we're going to watch your first goal in the A-League. So
Okay.
what are your memories of this before we show it?
I think it was a tap in at the Cove End, which was always nice. But I think I might be right. I think this is either Matty Ryan's debut or second game, and he sort of just gave me a tap in. I obviously don't score too often. Look at the way I
How
carry
young
on.
you look.
Yeah,
Yeah, wow.
18, I think.
baby.
Yeah,
What year was that?
that must be
2010, 11. I
Yeah,
would
maybe
that'd
that
be
was,
Matty's
yeah.
first year.
Yeah.
And to be fair, Matty Ryan that year had a couple of stinkers like that. I think another one rolled through his legs and
Never really
one
kicked on, did he?
bounced over his head.
Where's he now?
Yeah, and he's done nothing ever since. But he was one of those ones, we talk about players you knew they had what it took, and he wasn't big and he went on trials overseas at first when he was young, and they were like, "Are you the right back?" and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He's like, "I'm a keeper," and they'd just be like, "Nah."
No,
But he helped you out there, didn't he?
yeah. He said, "Cheers, Matty. I owe you one."
Grand final goals.
Yeah, at the same end actually. The first one, very similar tap in.
Score from you always score long range ones, don't you?
Yeah. I know my range. Sort of.
I like
Dreams are made of, really.
just drifting that you just drift from
Yeah.
outside the box
Yeah.
into the perfect area.
Sort of what I.
We watched this earlier, and it was funny because you're in the 6-yard box scoring, and I think Berish is the one trying to defend
Yeah,
you.
he
And it's like,
flips it
what
off.
are the chances
Yeah.
of you two being the two on that part of the pitch at that time?
And but so you just drift in. Everyone's sort of just watching, and you just keep going.
That's just a striker's now, is it not?
Huh? You're stuck at this right back.
Yeah, I know,
Wasted,
silly.
mate.
Definitely an art to that, though.
Yeah. It's actually funny, the clip is a bit longer. I think Breno might put in a cross, and I'm in his road, so I drop to the ground. So I'm on the ground as the ball's going in, and then that's sort of, I think, why I sort of just get up and then slowly drift. And then right place, right time, Johnny on the spot.
Yeah, right.
Nice one.
And then it was all about the nipple.
Yeah, then that one's, a little bit different
Mate.
again, 6-yard box.
I think Harps's commentary helped you as well, didn't he? The way that he said, not come off the chest, it's off the nipple. That went viral as well. I was like,
He'd popped a Mentos on it before, and it was like,
I had a roomie who liked to get the nipple out on the dance floor.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah, when I wear a party shirt, sometimes the nipple might slip out every now and then.
You know what you say to people, this is the nipple that scored the goal in the grand final? What about? But this was one of your trademark kind of runs, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And now this is a question that even got asked this morning. Did you mean to chest it in or chest it across? I let you answer first.
You tell me what you think.
I looked at it and I went, but I think the way you move, you
Yeah.
look like you're trying to put it in the far corner.
To be honest, I don't really remember what I was trying to do, but yeah, I think the way I used that, wanted to go that way, I think I am trying to sneak it in the back post. But knowing that I had 2 runners there anyway to tap it in, but I think, sort of got a little bit lucky, but then, Bratsy just put the ball on a silver platter. But I think I was on a yellow here, so...
shirt almost came off, didn't it?
Yeah, which should have been a second yellow, really. Sydney conspiracy again. So a couple of goals in grand final, so...
Panic stations there when you put
that's
get it down quick, get it down quick.
And again, I still haven't figured out how to celebrate properly. I'm just carrying on like a pork chop.
That's allowed
Standard.
when you score goals,
Yeah.
mate. That's allowed.
Boys, I think that's time. So got to
Nice.
thank you both for coming on. It's been a pleasure.
No, thanks for having us.
Yeah,
It's been
cheers.
good.
Thanks for your
And
story.
wish you all the best for the rest of the season and for this weekend. It's been great.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you. Thanks, lads.
Cheers.
Cheers.
boys.
Cheers.